What's up guys, Azure here. We're going to be talking about the Bard build for Module 28. Starting with the race right here, we do have the Wood Elf for the additional 5% critical strike. I'm just using Wood Elf just in case I ever decide to go with the DPS. The DPS of the Bard right now is really good, so it might be a good option to go for the Wood Elf. You could also go with Dragonborn. If you want to go strictly as a healer, you could go with the AC Bar as well. For a little power, outgoing healing, max HP for everyone, incoming healing. And yeah, you could also go Drow if the Bard has fast enough attacks to proc the debuff of the Drow. Just remember to look among your friends to see if they are using Drow and to check which Drow they are using, because we do have two Drow races. The free one gives one debuff and the premium one gives another. They both stack, so just pick the one that your friend doesn't have it, so you can get the most out of the debuffs. For the attributes, we're using Wisdom for the outgoing healing and Charisma for the Forte and recharge speed. Don't go with Dexterity. I guess you could go for critical severity, but I don't think you're ever going to need it because the Bard has so much critical severity. So much, as we'll see here in the stats. Okay, let's check out the cap here. We do have 61.8 power. We're gonna get 5 from the Watermelon Sorbet, 15% from the Raptor, 3.5 from the Portobello, 6% from the Boon, and up to 3% from the Forges box. That's gonna put us above the cap, and that's fine because we do have a little bit of fluctuation in power. Critical strike, we have 72. Plus 12 from the helmet, 5 from the Devil's Precision, and a little bit of ratings from the Wildstorm elixir and the Flask of potency is going to put us on the cap. Critical severity, we do have an absurd amount of critical severity here, and yeah, we do have 80.9 right now. We don't have any buffs active, though I don't think we even have the campfire buff active right now. So 80.9. We're gonna get 5 from Flask of Potency, 5 from Wildstorm, and that's capped already. And that's not even considering the passive of the Bard that gives 10% critical severity for free. So, if my advice to you guys, buy Dominance Insignias. As you all know, I play all healers, so I use all my gear with all the healers. So I do have a bunch of Brutality Insignias. And yeah, if you have the Bard as a main healer, buy Dominance, because you do not need that much critical severity. It's really easy to get critical severity with the Bard because the Forte of the Bard also gives critical severity. That's why we have this absurd amount of critical severity here. Yeah, buy Forte Insignias to reduce the excessive amount of critical severity, and also we're gonna help you out with the regen of the performance. I know the Forte is saying here that it gives you power, but it does not give you power. It gives performance regen. It gives performance regen, critical severity there. So it's going to reduce the critical severity a little bit, but it's still going to be able to cap it with the consumables and the passive, and also going to help out with the regen of the performance. Outgoing healing, we do have 75.3 right now. Going to get 6 from the shirt. I'm gonna get 5 from the Esforzando, which is a feature, and we're gonna get 4,000 ratings from the consumable, which is the demon Batwinged soup that you can buy from the Demon Epics campaign. There's also a version of that in the Guild Stronghold that you can buy that also gives 4,000. I think there's one in Chult as well, Chult campaign. Yeah, if you don't want to go with don't want to use this consumable here, you can just drop the open ring and use another outgoing healing ring, and you're going to be capped as well. And that's the build, guys. We're going to be having all the debuffs. We do have the Divine Ages on, open ring on, and all the debuffs possible. So guys, for the helmet, I'm using the Moon Dancer one that gives critical strike for us, 12% critical strike. If you have the regen one from Entos, you can go for that. I think it's really going to benefit the Bard the most compared to the other healers, because the Bard doesn't have enough regen, in my opinion. It does have some one encounter that is really pain in the ass to use, really long, and it doesn't recover a lot. To be fair, we do have an emergence backup, performance through the feats, but yeah, I think the Bard is the one that benefits the most with the stacking of the regen from the helmet and the new boots. The boots, we're using the ones that we got from the Moon Dancer, not the Moon Dancer, the new dungeon, the Imperial Citadel. If you think you need the regen, whenever you're outside the wild space, you can just use the other ones from the Moon Dancer that gives 10% more in case you are not in wild space. But if you are in wild space, you can just use that and get the bonus 2.5 outgoing healing, which is what I'm gonna be using anyway, regardless of where I am. For the armor, we're using the debuff one. This is just an amazing debuff, guys. It's just like having an artifact on all the times. Just remember, you gotta be really close to the enemy, man. If you're not close to the enemy, there's no point in running that. So just remember that. Just try to pay attention on your combat style, and yeah, if you're not doing that, just drop the shirt, use another thing. You can go with the ones from the Demon Rapids that give outgoing healing. I think this is the best option because it's a little more, it also supports the group by giving 2% critical strike for everyone. And yeah, we don't need the stats anyway, so it's good to help out the DPS. There's also a bunch of other options like the Rib Cage, but again, you're not going to need the critical severity. We do have other options in Dragon Hunts as well that gives 12% critical strike. It's the same of the helmet of the Moon Dancer, so if you use this one, you might want to change this for something else, like the new helmet from the campaign. I thought I have on the bar, but I guess not. For the gloves, we're just using the upgraded version that we got from the new dungeon, the Imperial Citadel. Just gives the same thing, increases this performance gauge, and we also get 2.5 forte. As a main hand and offhand, we're using Mastercraft here. Of course, you can go any other one. I'm just using this one just to show here that the Bard is the embodiment of the buffs and the debuffs. So we fully support the team right now. We are giving them another 2% damage, 2% mitigation. You can go any form of Mastercraft. Go with the old ones, you can go with the Weaver set. If you need the stats, you can go with the perfect weapons. And yeah, if you can also go with Celerate if you have that to help out even the wild space. Void Touch ones are really, I don't really like it because again, if you face a bunch of enemies, the bonus there it's going to be reduced and the stacks are going to go back to 0. So it's really sad that they done that. This drawback is really annoying in my opinion. And so we're going with the Mastercraft. So for artifacts, we're using the new Blast Scepter, just an upgraded version for what we had in the last module. So 15% damage debuff on the enemy is the highest we can go. So it's a must for you. Hopefully the DPSs know that this is a healer artifact and they don't use it. But if they're using it, you can just go with knives. I think it's a really good investment for the healer. It's one of the best debuffs artifacts as well. So you can buy it and have it for your whole account. Or the artifacts, guys, you just use whatever you have and the one that you need to complete the set. I do have the symbol of water here for the stamina regen. And I do have the melee mask. Even on green here, it doesn't really matter to me, the item level. So if it's your main healer, you probably have this upgraded, but I do have a bunch of healers here. Unfortunately, they're not unbindable, the melee mask. Hopefully one day they change that, but yeah, as of now, you have to upgrade on all your characters. I'm not gonna do that. So for the artifacts that we're using Merlit set here for the 5% damage increase for our team. All the debuff sets work with the Bard. So if you see a DPS using or another healer using the melee, you can change for Apocalypse or Vistani. Yeah, normally DPS don't really use the debuff ones, but maybe they are trying some speed run. They probably gonna have to put on some debuffs. We're using Grace for the debuffs as well, using Open Ring to increase the heals even further here. I've done a video on the Open Ring, guys, and because the Bard has too much total healing, additional healing, whatever you want to call it, because the Bard has too much for the Flourish and passive, that's 60%. The effectiveness of the Open Ring is not that great compared to the other healers, so you can be excused here and just use another ring, another outgoing healing ring, which is regular. It all comes down to whatever you have, guys. If you have enough consumables of outgoing healing, you're going to be able to cap with the Open Ring. If you're following this build, maybe you don't have the companions that I have, you don't have the insignias that give outgoing healing that I have, so you can just drop it and use the regular outgoing healing ring. You can use this one, you can use the new one, it's going to be fine, you're going to be able to cap the stats anyway. All comes down if you're using between this and this ring, all comes down comes down to the ratings that you need. This one gives critical strike ratings, and this gives more outgoing healing ratings. I think it's going to be more beneficial to you to use this from Moondancer because it gives for 5,000 outgoing healing ratings. So it's going to help you out capping out the outgoing healing, and most likely you don't really have the outgoing healing ratings capped. Sure, using the Moondancer one is just more reliable. It gives 7.5 outgoing healing for us. And we're using the trousers that gives 5% power, 5% defense. Enchantments, we're using 2 garnets and 2 cobalt in offense, jade and utility for the outgoing healing, defense you can use whatever. We're using on the overload, we gotta use the Devil's Precision to cap the critical strike. The other one is up to you. You can use wards, you can use the white dragon to increase the healing. Up to you, up to whatever dungeon you're using. You can use the wards there to protect your team. Just remember, you grab those wards from the guild stronghold. The wards that I'm mentioning is the ones that give damage reduction to your allies through your heals. Those were the wards that are worth using. For the combat, we're using the new one, Divine Aegis, for 9% outgoing healing above the cap. If you need the stats, again, for the same reason as the Open Ring, the same math applies here. The bar has already too much outgoing healing above the cap, so you can just be forgiven to use the Celestial Flash if you need a critical strike. As a bonus here, I'm using movement speed for the additional mobility, although the Bard has some good movement speed already through the powers. Guys, I just want to add one more thing here about the build. I'm using all the debuffs I can here, but if you feel like your heals are not that strong, if you feel people are taking too much damage, you can just drop some of the debuffs. As you all know, the Bard is known and is asked for because of the storyteller buff it gives to the players. So if you're being invited to a party specifically, if people are asking for a Bard, it's because they know you already have that debuff, this buff on. I like to use the debuffs because if I put all debuffs on me, the other healers can focus on healers. If you're playing a trial, for example, all the healers can focus totally on the heals, or more at least, and they are better at healing than the Bard. But if you are playing a dungeon and if you see that the team is struggling a little bit, you might want to change things around, change the artifact set for something that gives more heals, like the artifact set from the Moondancer here. It gives even more additional healing. Yeah, it gets a little bit higher item level. You can go with Solarium for more heals, and yeah, it's up to you, man. Just see whatever you need. If you need full debuffs, if your team can handle that, if you have the burn, your team is gonna love it. yeah, you're gonna do it really, really fast. But if you think is struggling, yeah, the Bard's not gonna help out, man. The heals of the Bard is not that great compared to the other healers. So for the boon guys, I grab power, critical strike, critical severity, movement speed, and after that I grab the lingering effects. I like those just in case I want to combine with the guild stronghold boon to share the potions. Because whenever you use the heal over time potion, it triggers this fairly easy, and if the other players on your team have those effects as well, this boon as well, it will trigger for them as well. So it's a little bit of a extra healing if you want. After that, you go defensive, defense, awareness, critical avoidance, just to get enough points to get up here. And we grab outgoing healing and forte first, and after that, action point and recharge speed. For the master boons, we're going with the blast advantage and the blast resilience. Guild stronghold, I'm using critical strike, defense, and the group heal potion. Here you can go revive the sickness if you're not using the heal over time potions. So for companion guys, I use my Portobello as always for the power and the combat advantage. It helps me and it helps the DPS as well. I especially like the Portobello because of the power it gives me, because I'm already using a bunch of debuffs, so it's good to have some extra stats and use a companion that helps me out sometimes. So yeah, you could use another ones like the Dritz and the tutor. You can use the new one, Flapjack, which is just another tutor but an upgraded version of it. It has more range to it. It comes on Mythic already, and it's for the whole account. So if you don't have any, go for the Flapjack. I wouldn't buy the tutor now. I wouldn't buy the Dritz now. Usually around this time of year, they come with the lockbox that comes with the Dritz. Also, in the last few years, they've been given Dritz for free, so hold on to buying Dritz. Don't buy it now. Tutor, if you have Tutor already, you can invest in another one, Flapjack. They do stack, so it might be good to have for future trials. Yeah, you can use Portobello, Dritz, Tutor, Lion, Spine Devil, all that good stuff. Yeah, Portobello, you can eventually grab it from the appointment events. You just have to do it 5 times already, I think. I think a little more than a year, you should have enough points to buy the Portobello. Is a good investment because it's mythic and it's for the whole account. So it's good. Equipment-wise, I'm using dual stats here, outgoing healing and critical strike, 2 of this, and 1 single stat of outgoing healing. The reason I didn't go full single stat this time around is because it didn't matter in the end. On the last module, when I was doing the build for the bard, even if I went with full single stat heal, outgoing healing ones, I wasn't able to drop the Esforzando feature. So yeah, it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't be able to cap. I would still need Esforzando in the power section. So I just stick with those 2 here. But depending on how many CNS you have of outgoing healing, you might need to go for full outgoing healing ratings here, which is a good investment again. Outgoing healing ratings is really rare, so even though I have a bunch of stuff that is giving outgoing healing, I don't even think I'm capped on outgoing healing ratings, so it's good to have. It's a good investment, especially if you don't have the outgoing healing companions. For the enhancement, we always go with the debuff ones. You typically go with the dual senses because it's the second best. Armor break, it reduces the defense. Usually the tank runs it. And we stick with the second best, which is the dual senses. After that, we can go with the vulnerability to reduce enemies' critical avoidance. The other option is slowed reactions to reduce enemies' deflect. And again, another reason to have Portobello. He's the only one that has this buff here, which reduces the enemy's combat advantage, which it's some mitigation for you in case you need for, you know, helping out the tank with the tank buster and helping out the team at the trials, for example. For the companion bonus, I'm using the Black Dragons, Critical Strike. I'm using the Proud yet. It's really cheap, guys. Go buy it. $1 million. It's not gonna get cheaper than that. But we're using it yet for the outgoing healing. We could be using here the Bullet. I'm using the Grumps for the Critical Strike, Raptor for the huge amount of power, and Quickling for the outgoing healing and Critical Strike. I said it in all the healer builds. If you have all those companions, just don't settle down, guys. Go and grab more for, you know, building up options as well. You do have stuff that gives power here, like the Baby Crow, Comfy. We have the Fawn here that gives power critical strike. We have the Kenko Archer that has power critical severity. We have the, I think this is the RDL. This is coming from critical strike, critical severity. So build up options in your account, because as I said before, you never know in which direction the next module is going to go. And yeah, next module they might have a bunch of critical strike, critical severity rings and gear, so you might need to have some more outgoing healing stuff here. I don't know. So build up options for the next modules, guys. So for the power, guys, we're using the same four: Eclipse, Bat Swarm, T-Rex, and Pegasus. You should have at least two if you're starting. Maybe the easiest one is the Pegasus and the T-Rex. You gotta have two at least, just in case you have the same as the tank, so you can switch things around. After that, you can try to invest in more debuffs like the balloons. It's good to have other options for trials. And after that, it's up to you. You can grab whatever you like for whatever reason, utility, up to you. And the equip power, use the auras as always: Mystic Aura, Pack Tactics, and Runic Aura. So most of the stuff we are using for Force Lot Cygnus mounts anyway. So invest in those because we're gonna be using. And yeah, I know some people think that they need to go with a single stat here for only for ourselves, but you know, we're getting power from the Runic Aura or the power from the Mystic Aura, and that's more than enough for us to cap our stats. And I've showed you many times that the healers have a easy time capping the stats and still using the debuffs and helping people out. So try to buy the aura, guys, if you can. For the mounts, we're using the same as all the other builds. If you following those as well, we're using Shepherd's Devotion to get some buffs when you use the daily, although the daily of the bard is not that useful generally speaking. I just use it for mitigation. So yeah, this is one of those buffs that you could change for something else. So Shepherd's Devotion, Gladiator's Ghoul for additional movement speed, it's great. Lion's Heart Severity, which is emergency heal for us. Magistrate is Spacious, which is the best support bonus we can have here. Proccing defensive stats from everybody whenever we do a critical heal. So this is up all the times whenever it's available. Of course, it has some cooldown, so but it's up very often, so it's great to have. Mentor's Covenant for some additional outgoing healing, not outgoing healing ratings in general. I think gives critical strike, critical severity, outgoing healing power for us, so it's great. You could have more than one in this, but the effectiveness is going to be cut in half, so you're only going to get 750 instead of a 1500. For the colors, we're using critical severity, outgoing healing, and movement speed. And the rest is up to you. I have here Encounter Powers and Rough AD, just in case I need to switch to DPS, and the Rough AD is just to make my life easier when getting my daily AD. You could also go with the Survival's Expertise for the Forte, and it helps out with the regen. I think the Bard more than the other healers need the regen, so it might be a good option to have here. But we do gonna get a penalty if we use that. Just be careful to not die too much while using that. You could go with more Mantis Covenant. We could go with more Assassin's Covenant as well. That gives offensive stats. It does give some DPS only stuff, but it does give you critical strike, critical severity as well, so it can be useful. Other than that, guys, honestly, as I said in the beginning there, if you missed it, try to grab Dominance Insignias. I know I do have a few spots here that I could change, but again, I do have my Insignias here for all the healers. That's why I don't have dedicated Insignias for the Bard. But if you are a main Bard, because of the Bard, an excessive amount of critical severity, try to invest in Dominance Insignias. Of all the Insignias we have, Dominance is the only one that does not give critical severity. It's going to give you Forte instead. And Forte of the Bard gives you critical severity, but on top it gives you less. So we're going to reduce the excessive amount that you have, and it will also help you out with Divinity Regen. So 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah, investing in Dominance Insignias if you have a main Bard. So for that, we're going to be using Reprise to proc all the debuffs we have. It procs Vistani, it procs Grace, it procs Merilith, and it's also a melee attack, so it makes me stay very close to the enemy to proc the chest piece as well. So that's why I like it. You could go with Phantasmal Concerto as well, or the Flash. Phantasmal Concerto will proc the debuffs as well, but I don't really like it. It's very, very slow. I don't really like it. And if you're using Merilith stat, the uptime is probably not going to be that great. For the at-will, the other at-will, we're using the Arpeggio, which is the healing one. Encounter, Flourish is a must. Delay Play is a must because we're using Vamp on the build. And the other one is up to you. You could go with Baseline if you want some restore some performance. I personally think Baseline is a pain in the ass because it takes too long to cast, and what we get is very, very small for the time we take to cast this. So but there's not much else to use here. We could go with Serenade to increase the heals. It works like the mark on the other healers, so it increases the amount of heals on a specific target, which is usually the tank. You could go with that as well. You could go with Duet to do some CC if you face a bunch of ads. You could go with Dancing Lights to reduce the enemy's damage for some mitigation as well. So yeah, those two, Flourish and the Delay Play, is a must, guys. It's part of the build. Flourish gives like 50% additional health that goes up above the cap, so additional healing, sorry, that goes above the cap. So it's a must, and the Delay Play is part of the vamp. We gotta use it. We get some songs for free. Daily wise, we don't have a lot of good stuff here. I do usually run Inspiration and Curtain Call. Curtain Call, I just use it for mitigation. So I do play the Shelter 2 to try to put the shield on the people, and the Warding Carol to reduce people's damage taken by 10. So that's why I use Curtain Call whenever I need mitigation. If you don't have to do mitigation, you could just use Inspiration here to increase some people's damage. It only increases one person's damage, so it has to be next to the DPS that you want to put this on. So yeah, if this was for the whole group, it would be amazing, but unfortunately it's just for one person. So the song, guys, I usually put on quick play slot the Defender's Minuet, which is kind of an emergency heal to heal a person that's very, very low, and Warding Carol, which is a cleanse. I just put those on quick play, and the rest is we have to play it. Blaze Flamenco, Rejuvenated Carol, and Shelter 2 most of the time. I don't really like to use Aurora Fantasia, but I do occasionally. Features, I'm using this Verzando for the additional Algon healing, and Vamos lá for the movement speed. We don't really have a bunch of options here. Unfortunately, Starstruck only procs whenever you cast the heal. If this was proccing for every single heal over time, it would be great, but unfortunately not. But if you have the outgoing healing capped, you could just change this for example for Starstruck. You could play it back if you like to play Aurora Fantasia. You could go with our special Fortissimo if you like if you want to use the arpeggio for AoE. Mystifying Strikes would be great if it wasn't 5% chance to apply it. Not for the damage, but for the heal magnitude there is 400, which is quite big, but it's a 5% chance, so yeah. If I didn't have any other option, I would just put Mystifying Strikes if I had the outgoing healing capped without this, for example. So for the first feat, we're using the Innuendo to try to get a quick heal out of Arpeggio. Second feat, we're using Rhapsody Arms here. Both are not great for us, they don't change anything in our build, honestly, but this gives you a little bit of mitigation. Third feat, we're using Vamp, which is a major part in the build, because we're using Delayed Play. It gives us a chance to get some songs for free, and the song we use in the Delayed Play is the Shelter Etude, because the higher magnitude, it heals everyone 600 magnitude. It's actually a backup healing, but if the person already has a Shelter Etude on them, whenever you play the song again, they're gonna get healed for the 600 magnitude. So it's great. I wouldn't use Southern Muse because it's very random. It's not reliable in my opinion, but I don't know, maybe you can play around that, test yourself. I don't see it as too useful, to be fair. For the fourth feat, we're using Desperate Finale, and that helps out with regen. We're getting 600 performance whenever we drop too low on performance. It has a really huge cooldown, but it's okay because we don't get too low very often. So yeah, I think it's a really good feat to have. The other option here is is not viable at all in my opinion. It reduces the cost of all the songs, but reduces the healing as well. And honestly, the bard cannot afford to lose heals. I do, compared to the other healers, I do think the bard suffers a lot. It doesn't have a lot of good healing, to be fair. For the last feat, Storyteller is a must. It's why people like the bard. It's for the buffs. It gives the DPS up to 15 more damage. The tanks 15 mitigation. The healers 15 more healing. So that's why the bard healer is so requested. Let's not forget about the passives of the bard. Critical tuning gives 10% critical severity whenever I play a song that is not in quick play slot, and another 10% healing bonus. And with that, with those two passives plus Esforzando, Storyteller, and Flourish, the bard has kind of a rotation here. I usually do a Flourish, Blaze Flamenco, we get another Flourish, we do Rejuvenated Carol, we do a Delayed Play now. This does not count as a song, so we gotta play the Delayed Play again, so everyone has the Delayed Play on them. Yeah, now we just have to pay attention to the timer there. Storyteller lasts 15 seconds, so usually I use the timer on the Rejuvenated Carol to count. Whenever it approaches 15, if you want to save performance, all you gotta do is cast another Shelter Etude, because we do have 3 stacks of Storyteller. They all expire at the same time, so if you play one song, it does refresh all the stacks. But if you're not that worried about performance, you can play all the songs again. It's gonna be fine. The delay play, whenever it procs, it counts as a stack as well. I'm not proccing anything right now for some reason. I think it's because I'm not in combat. But yeah, this is the rotation, guys. Flourish, I don't really know if the Flourish helps with the Blaze Flamenco. Either way, It's just 1% if it works or not. We got a delay play here, so song for free. We got 3 stacks. We're gonna wait there for the approaches the 15-second mark, and we're gonna cast another Sheltering Etude. This time around, we can do a flourished Sheltering Etude, so it's a stronger version of it. It doesn't really matter, guys, if you try to flourish the Sheltering Etude that is going into delay play. It doesn't work, so don't even try it to save a flourished version of the Sheltering Etude. I tried. It just goes as regular Sheltering Etude. So yeah, you can try to put the Aurora Flotation in between in the rotation as well. Again, I'm going Place Flamenco here. Flourish, Carol. We didn't get a proc on the delay play. We're gonna cast the Sheltering Etude now, and whenever we approach the 15-second mark, we gotta play another song. You can go into Aurora Fantasia if you feel like it, and just play it like that if you like to go with the Aurora Fantasia. Honestly, it would be better if the Aurora Finale, which is the cancel of the Aurora Fantasia here, would trigger the Storyteller, but unfortunately it does not count as a song, so that's why I don't really like that much, and I don't really use as much. That's it for the video, guys. That's it for the build. I hope you guys enjoyed. I think the Bard video is always a bit longer because it has a lot of stuff to explain because of the powers and the complexity that it is to play the Bard, especially on the controller without the keybinds. But I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, guys, and I see you guys around. Take care.